Alrighty. Seems like it's 6 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Montana Jim. I will be net control, taking over for Red Bear. Again, he had to work today. They're getting a bunch of road stuff taken care of in the state of Michigan before winter sets in. And where I'm at, winter is already set in. So anyway, we're going to start up the prep net. Anybody that wishes to check in, please check in with your name and state, please. Come now. Okay, we have one check in. Is there anybody out there that would wish to check in? Those who are listening but have not participated, you can check in and let me know that you do not want to be part of the roundtable. But that way we get a count of how many people the presentation is going out to. Anybody wish to quickly check in, please bring your name and your state. Okay, hearing none, let's go ahead and hold off for a couple of more minutes, see if we get some late check-ins. Don't know what the weather's like throughout the rest of the United States, but there are probably still people, unlike Red Bear having to work, are probably trying to do some camping and things of that nature before the bad weather. So we'll come back in a couple of minutes and see if we can get any more check-ins. Okay, let's try one more time here. Anybody wish to check into the Sunday night prep net? Please come with your name and your state. Okay, hearing none, let's get started. Tonight says we're going to be doing the saving electricity in the wild. This is part of our all about electricity series. This is the second one. It appears there's probably going to be 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 more on this. It's a really deep, deep, deep subject. And again, any of our presentations are not detailed how-tos. They're more of a generalized topic to get people thinking about preparing. And I'm not necessarily talking about doomsday, but being prepared for anything that comes along that might interrupt your life. So with that, let's get started. Let me do a break. Okay, this topic is geared towards those who will be heading for the great outdoors and will need some electric power. When you bug out to locations that lack electric power, you will still have electrical needs. You need to determine your electrical needs. Since you have limited space to bring things with you, you need to reduce those electrical items to an absolute minimum. Break. Instead of listing the electric items you will not need, as we did last week for saving electricity at home, it will be easier and shorter to list the things you should have. You can provide for your electrical needs in three ways. The first is using the vehicle's battery. Now, any lights should be 12-volt lights or battery-powered lights, such as flashlights, headlamps, and lanterns. The 12-volt lights can connect directly to your vehicle battery or through the cigarette lighter plug. The battery-powered flashlights and headlamps and lanterns should be able to be charged by your 12-volt system or by USB. All of your portable radios, phones, and tablets should also be rechargeable through 12-volt and USB. Break. You may need a 12-volt DC to 120-volt AC inverter to run your laptop charger with a 12-volt wallboard. Now, pick the smallest inverter that will do the job. As the bigger the inverter, the more overhead it has. More on overhead in the solar topic in our All About Electricity topic. This is all of the electronic equipment I can recommend you have. Break. If you are a GMRS or ham operator and have a mobile radio, you will need to run the vehicle's engine when using those radios, as they draw a lot of current. You do not want your vehicle battery to get so low that you can't start it. The second solution is using a generator. Generator could allow you to run more electrical equipment than just your vehicle's battery, as we have already described. However, that extra equipment would take up space, and you might need that for more important items like food and water. So I will still only recommend the items I have previously stated. Break. Now, the pros of a generator over just your vehicle's battery would be you would be able not only to charge all of your electronics at the same time, but also charge the vehicle's battery. You could also charge the vehicle's battery and run your GMRS or ham mobile radios without running the car's engine. The cons of a generator: they will take up needed space in your vehicle. You will need to carry extra fuel, oil for the generator. And generators are noisy, but there are low noise versions of generators. And you will have to deal with the exhaust of the generator. Break. The third solution is a solar generator. Now, I'm not a fan of these, except in this situation. They can be expensive, and you need to take their claims of what it can do with a big grain of salt. They might say it will run your refrigerator. But what they don't tell you is that it will only do that for 4 or 5 hours. Not really useful for running generators. For most of the items I described when using your car's battery, a solar generator should work just fine. And a solar generator, for those who don't know, is an all-in-one portable solar system. It has a battery, solar charge controller, solar panel, and possibly a small DC to AC inverter. Break. You set it up, connect the solar panel, and connect your electronic equipment to it. Easy. The pros are they use no fuel except for the sun. You have no exhaust to deal with. And they can literally run for years after you buy them. The cons are, as stated before, they can be very expensive for what you get. However, you can build your own solar generator for much less than a pre-built one. If you use a lot of power from them, the 100-watt solar panel they provide will not recharge the battery in a day to full. And again, we'll cover more information on solar charging in the solar topic of all about electricity. Break. Now, depending on the capacity of the solar generator, you may still need to run your vehicle to operate your high-draw, mobile, GMRS, or ham radios. As with a fuel power generator, they will take up space in your bug-out vehicle. Next week's topic will continue our All About Electricity series and discuss generators. If you have any questions, what we've talked about tonight, please ask during the roundtable or send your question to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line. And again, I cannot urge you enough to view the expanded presentation on our YouTube channel for additional information on our topic. Break. Okay, that was the topic for discussion for this week. Are there any late check-ins to the PrepNet? Please come now with your name and your state. Are there any other users that wish to check in to the net? Please come with your name and your state. Okay, hearing none, then let's go ahead and get the roundtable. We'll probably have a short night tonight, which is not bad because I think I'm going to light a fire in my wood stove because it's a little cold out here. 38.3 degrees right at the moment. Hey, Donna, let's go ahead and start. Yeah, any comments, questions, or everything? Now, I do know that you're a bug-in person, but again, sometimes you might have to leave, not necessarily for an emergency, but you might want to have some electrical things. So what have you got to say today?
I have seen, talking about solar generating, those little mats that you roll out. I've seen them put on top of cars. They're not very big. I don't know much about them, and I would imagine you couldn't power too much, maybe beyond a cell phone or something.
Okay, what those are, that is not a solar generator. What that is just a solar panel. And I think they use, a lot of them will, I think they're meant to plug into your cigarette lighter. And they're usually 15 watts, maybe 25 at the max, which is not very much. And they're meant to sort of keep the car battery topped off. It's not a bad thing to have. One of my sons has one. He runs it all the time in his truck just to keep the battery topped off. So it's not a bad idea. I'll get it when my brain kicks in. The solar generators have everything. They have their own battery, their own charge controller, their own outlets for DC stuff. They may have USB, so you could charge phone or tablet in them. And some of them will come with a solar panel, a fairly large one, 100 watt. I've seen some of them with 200 watt panels, but they are really expensive. In fact, if you turn around, If you turn around and do take a look at the expanded presentation, there will be a picture of that from Amazon. And I think that one was $4,000. It is a much larger one, granted. You can get smaller ones, but anyway. So, does that answer your questions or explain a little bit more of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was a little confused on what the actual use of them is. So yeah, that explains it.
Okay, let me break real quick here and see if we can get any other check-ins. Anybody wanting to check into the net tonight? Please come with your name and your state. Okay, hearing nothing. Donna's going to get a bunch of rounds here. Of the three different types of uh, solutions to how you could power electronic stuff, if you had to, having to bug out or leave, for some reason. Was there one that struck you that would be the least desirable, and was there one that struck you that would be the most desirable?
Least desirable would be one of those bulky generators that spew exhaust and takes up a great deal of room.
I do agree with that. Um, the uh, the exhaust part is really kind of important, and we'll actually we address a little bit of that next week because we will be talking about generators, their pros and their cons. There are pros, but there are really a lot of cons. Not only do you have to deal with the exhaust, you have to deal with the heat. You can't set it literally right next to your vehicle. You have to make sure there's non-flammable. You've got it set where you've pushed away any brush or such of that nature. And if you're going to be moving from one location to the next and you're using the generator, you have to wait for that sucker to cool down before you throw it in the car. So yeah. So of the two left, the just use your battery and or the other one of the solar generator. Which of the two would you say would be the better?
I would say probably the solar, notwithstanding probably the cost of it initially, but I think that for me that would be the better solution.
Could be. Could be. It does definitely get you away from having to have fuel. Because if you just use the car battery, you're going to be somewhat in the same predicament with the generator as you are going to have fuel enough to run the vehicle. And just to run the vehicle to charge your cell phone, etc. I know a lot are going to say, well, I don't have to run my car battery. That's true, but you have to be careful that you do not run the battery down to where you cannot start it. So, I wouldn't disagree. Like I said, I'm not a fan of those. They are expensive. Now you can get smaller ones than the one that I have shown in the expanded presentation. I sort of deliberately picked one that was kind of on the expensive side. But you do have to figure out, what am I going to run? What do I need it for? In my case, because I'm a ham operator, I have radios that draw a lot, so I need a lot of power. So all three would work if I ran the engine, but then I'm going to have to make sure I have the fuel. And again, fuel takes up space, and I think as we're finding, let me break here. I think what we're finding, because we are in the 7th series with most of the series having 2 to 4 different net sessions. And I think people could gather from this that bugging out, you are going to be extremely limited unless you actually have a cabin or another house to go to where you can pre-stock things. So what you can take with you in your vehicle and then, quote, rough it, space is going to be a really, really big thing. So anyway, let me break one more time, see if there was anybody else that wants to jump in here. Please come now with your name and your state. Okay, hearing none. One more time. Anything else you wanted to either bring up or comments or anything of not only what we have discussed today, but anything we have discussed in the past?
Well, the one thing that I just thought of was, if you're going to use something solar, if you happen to run into a string of really bad weather and it's not very sunny, it's probably going to really limit what you can charge.
No, this is very, very true. And that's sort of one of the reasons why this particular topic of all about electricity is so long because you do have to consider what you're going to run is going to determine how big your solution is going to be. And then the solution has a cost, whether it's I got to have fuel or I have to start my vehicle or I have to pay this unbelievable amount of money for these solar generators. And then even at that, or if I'm going to build my own solar system, but even with that, yes. So however much you need, you really need to have 3 or 4 times that. So if you get good sunny days and your battery bank charges, that you can still run the stuff that you absolutely need to run, even if you have multiple days of what we have right now in Montana, which there's no sun. And so you can weather those without having to start up a generator. So yes, a lot has to be thought about it, and you really have to think, what is important that I absolutely have to run? If I absolutely have to charge my phone or my MP3 player because I want to listen to, somebody, you might want to rethink that.
Yeah, it sounds to me like for me anyway, would have to come down to really basic things. Radios and such like that would be the most important, and anything else would be kind of secondary.
Exactly. And you could always have a little secondary list of, okay, if I get up in the morning and it's a nice, bright, sunny day, and so the solar panels are doing their maximum, maybe that's when you pick, well, I'll go ahead and listen to the radio and music or something for an hour, and because you're getting a lot in. But yeah, you do have to be careful. In any of this, you have to pay attention. It's not a plug and play thing. You have to pay attention how much energy went into my batteries, how much energy am I taking out, what does it look like it's going to, it's cloudy tonight when before the sun goes down, is it going to be a sunny day tomorrow or not? Maybe I won't watch that use the portable DVD player to watch a movie tonight because there might not be enough power. Yeah, it's a constant thing that you have to constantly think about. Let's break one more time and see if we can get anybody else to check into the net tonight and contribute to the roundtable. Anyone else wanting to check in, please come with your name and your state.
Jason from Southeast Missouri. Just listening in.
Okay, welcome aboard, Jason. Thank you for being there. I'm trying to write your name down here. Anybody else wish to check in? Come with your name and your state, please. Hey, Jason, did you happen to have a chance to hear the presentation on saving electricity in the wild, since you were just sitting back listening?
I caught some of it.
Okay, any comments or questions, suggestions, etc. about that?
No, sir, not at this time. I'm just listening in, enjoying y'all talk.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. We're trying to provide, basic information to get people thinking as far as preparing for whatever they would need or need to prepare for in the situation that they're in. And also, we want the feedback to turn, to things we might not have thought about, experiences, things that have happened, etc. And I happen to listen to all of those, and I have changed many of the presentations. And we're taking this in little itty bitty bite-sized pieces because the whole thing of prepping, people don't realize it is a really big complicated thing, and a lot of people don't think about a lot of things, and that's just what we want to turn around and bring up.
Sure. Yeah. It sure wouldn't take a whole lot to set us back into the Stone Age, if something went wrong in the world or, you just never know what can happen. A good example is what the season we had with the hurricanes and flooding last year. I mean, it's just devastating.
Yes, and I sort of want people to understand that this preparing or prepping, which used to be a bad word, and I'm sure in some people's minds it still is, doesn't necessarily even mean, oh, it's Mad Max time, or even what you talked about, flooding, hurricanes, things of that nature. There's no downside to preparing because you're purchasing, we'll just look at the food side of it. You're purchasing food and you might not use that food for 2 or possibly 3 years. And if you have to use it for whatever reason, you lose your job, you get injured, and you don't have as much money coming in, you can rely on those, quote, preps. And you're eating cheaper than it would be if you had to go out and buy the food then. So there's really no downside to it, even if we don't have the apocalypse now kind of thing. You're still doing things at a much cheaper rate. So if people even think about that part of it and not the whole thing has really gone downhill, I think they can see that it's not a bad idea to do it.
No, I think it's very interesting.
Well, just to let you know, since I didn't say it in the presentation, we do have a YouTube page, and all of the presentations that I have done, they are on that YouTube page. The beginning ones are mostly a PowerPoint presentation with a voiceover, not my voice, it's another voice, and it also I provide a lot more information because some things don't do well just over voice. You need to have a visual. So I would encourage you to go take a look at that. There is also a playlist where these actual nets are being recorded so you can hear what was presented and you can hear all the roundtable, etc. So if just for funds, I'd go there. So let me break real quick. Okay, if you go to YouTube and you go up into the search box and you put in @prepnet-talk2me, and you'll find our webpage, and there will be 2 playlists. One will be the expanded presentation playlist, which has all of these in there expanded with additional information, and then there's also the net recordings that we have. So if you wanted to go get caught up on some of the stuff that we've already talked about, and then that way, if you want to participate more, and let me break again, because I can motor mouth on. We also have a Gmail account that you can send suggestions, questions, comments to, and that would be prepnetch14@gmail.com. And for any questions, go throw those, put a question up in the subject line, or you can put suggestion in the subject line, on a topic or something that you figure we should cover. So anyway, let me break one more time here and see if we can get anybody else to check in, and then we're probably going to wrap this up. Anybody else wanting to check in, please come now with your name and state. Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Let me turn my ham radio down here. So, any last comments before I put the channel back to regular use?
No, I can't think of anything else to add at this time.
Okay, Jason, any last comments, questions, concerns?
No, that was a good copy on everything you said, and I look forward to listening in. And hey, I appreciate you doing this. I looked and I've seen the link of the scheduled things going on the radio station. I've seen that. I was like, huh, that's something I'd like to listen into. Look forward to learning.
Okay, good deal. Like I said, check out the YouTube page. We have covered a lot of stuff. I'm trying to figure out how many. There's probably maybe 20 different sessions on various topics. So it might be interesting there, but appreciate you coming in. And to everybody out there listening in Radio Land, or in this case POC Land, we wouldn't be able to do these nets without you. So please participate. Please let us know what you think so we can continue to try and bring this to you. It's been a passion of mine for a very, very long time. And just wanted to try and pass along, my experiences and things that I've had many, 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 many decades to think about. And maybe people getting new into it might not think about that. So anyway, if there's nothing else, I'm going to turn around and turn the channel back to regular use. And thanks everybody for participating.